Okay, now the brickbat for the government. Sometimes the ignorance of our politicians is just plain embarrassing. They rarely seem open to any ideas that contradict their current train of policy thought, and they try and discredit anything that gets in the way of that. Now, to me, that's the hallmark of a fool. And I got to say, I think we've got a heck of a lot of them in politics right now. Energy Minister Chris Bowen, well, he's no political orphan in this space when it comes to looking foolish, but I think he's moved closer to the top of the class when he sought to dismiss nuclear energy as a possible answer to our current energy crisis. And I hasten to add, it is not a real crisis, of course. Our energy woes could be solved overnight if we just use the abundant coal and gas for power in this country rather than mining it and just shipping it off overseas. But then, I've got to say, the energy debate, it's not really about energy. It's about the idolatry of climate change as a means of enslaving the masses to worship at the altar of the earth. And the high priests of this religious movement, they're the anti-human green Marxists. There's many of them in our parliament, ably abetted by the other authoritarian clowns, mostly of the left, but there's certainly a few fools on the right too. And like all enthusiastic converts, Bowen has caught the bug bad. And it's clearly clouded his ability to think outside of the wind and solar worship. Here he is, dissing nuclear power for Australia.
Wherever nuclear power plants are being built around the world, they are taking longer and costing much more than budgeted for. Even small modular reactors would cost a massive $5 billion each to build. And proponents say we need as many as 80 small reactors spread across the country. That's a whopping $400 billion in cost. And the experts at the CSIRO have done the work. They show renewable energy is the cheapest form of energy and nuclear is by far the most expensive.
All right, the video goes on to rubbish nuclear power as an unviable solution, and it also poses a potential waste problem. Well, after watching the full content of the video, I'm confident there are not many cherries left for Bowen to pick in support of his case. First off, let's dismiss these cost concerns. If the plants don't stack up economically, I can tell you they will not be built. But you can't say that about renewables. I cannot think of a single renewable project in this country that hasn't received some massive handout, rebate, loan or grant from ideologically driven governments. And Bowen's money worries? They make a mockery of his term as Treasurer, and of course they make a mockery of the cost of moving towards his net zero goals. That is estimated by the Bank of America to cost the world more than $150 trillion. $150 trillion, if it can be done at all. And then, of course, Bowen ignores how nuclear power is being used in so many places already around the world. There was a new nuclear power plant switched on in Finland in April. You know what's happened there? It's driven electricity prices down by more than 75%. And nuclear now accounts for 30% of the Finnish total electricity industry. But then again, maybe Bowen does have a point. Why would the renewables crew or any other electricity provider actually want cheaper power for consumers? I mean, they're all making a fortune thanks to the ridiculous power policies we have in place right here, right now. Unfortunately, we're the mugs paying for it, and it's not like we've got an alternative source to draw upon in our daily lives. We are captive to electricity, and the electricity providers are in the business of making as much profit as they possibly can. We'll be talking about what can be done about it a little bit later in the show.